Ahoy, my friends, Ryder here. Welcome to another Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis video. Today I'm diving into Yuffie. I will be doing a review on her banner weapon, her costume, and then kind of just doing a general overview of all of her weapons, where I think she falls in the meta, whether I think you should pull for her or not, depending on where you are in the game. Currently I am still on the fence about her, but let's get into this. I wanted to wait a day before I put this video out to kind of, there's a lot going on when you get a new character. You get a ton of new weapons for them. You get, the banner weapon, the new costume. It's kind of hard to figure out where a new character is going to lie in the game when they come out. And for Yuffie, yeah, she's a bit of a tricky one. I think for Wales, she's going to be extremely useful overall in the game. And I think that most people are really going to pull for her because she's going to add a bunch of versatility to teams where you don't have to kind of divide all these different jobs up into different places, where she can just kind of cover a lot of them. But let's quickly go over her new weapon and costume. So here is the Arctic Star. This is an interesting weapon. It is kind of like an AoE physical attack up. It won't hit the whole party, which I'm a little bit bummed on. Although, if you have a healer, it's not really necessary. So unless you were running like a full-blown physical attack team, then it would be a little bit tricky. But other than that, I think it's a really interesting weapon. So right at base 5-star level 90, you can hit a high potency cast on the physical attack for the person you're casting on. But then it's only going to be mid for self. However, she does have her second limit break is called Clear Tranquil, and it raises physical attack up mid to high, magic attack up mid to high. It adds regen and a 30% AoE heal, so you could technically hit this on someone, then immediately follow 10 seconds later with the limit break and get everyone up to high potency. So there's a lot of, like I was saying, versatility with her, and I think she's going to definitely be really fun to play. Now, I'm still on the fence about this weapon. I'm not sure. If I do a pulling video, it'll be a different pulling video than today, or a different video than today. Today, I'm just kind of overviewing the banner. Now, the interesting thing about Yuffie is this buff-debuff extension that's going on. So, as far as I know, this does not work with poison, because right now the question is kind of up in the air. How good is poison going to be? I believe that it does not work on Iron Giant, does not work on Sephiroth, does not work on a lot, doesn't work on Behemoth. So there's a lot of tougher boss fights where it's not going to work on. Now, is poison going to become a thing later on? Who knows? They might release a boss where it's susceptible to poison and then she has her niche for that moment. But there's always going to be something like that, and you're either going to have the thing for it or you're not. The nice thing I like about this game is there's always a way around it. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. However, with her costume, she's going to get a 40% effect duration right off the bat, plus 9 if you have her original weapon. That's what will put her at 24, so just 1 point shy of 120%. So basically double whatever she's going to cast. So this buff right here would go to 48 seconds, pretty close to 48 seconds, which is really, really, really good, especially considering the fact that she has imperil weapons for fire, lightning, and ice. We'll get into those in a second. So I think that if it's hard to say where she's going to go, is there going to be a costume coming out for Aerith, for example, that has this exact same thing, that's going to kind of take away her uniqueness of it. But if she keeps this as a kind of unique thing for herself for a while, she could be a very, very, very good buffer / debuffer in the game, which is really appealing to me overall, especially because you should be able to get her to around 46 points with OB6, OB10 weapons, so 150 to 180% effect duration, which I think is really amazing overall, and it's a solid costume, I would say. Plus the fact that it gives HP, and just like the overall style of it, I like that it's still in the winter theme. She just looks awesome. Plus the little Moogle cap is cool. Alright, so for the weapon, I would say I give it kind of like an A-. I feel like it could have been AoE. I feel like that would have been really cool. full AoE physical attack buff, I would have for sure pulled on this. I'm still a tad on the fence. For the support materials, we have ability damage 10% in the first slot, and then double physical ability damages for 20 and 20%. So that's super solid considering this raises physical attack up. So I think this pulling on this banner really depends on what you have. So, and also I think that this depends on what you get with your free Yuffie pulls. So if you get really lucky pulls, so like I'll show you guys what I got. I did all my ticket pulls already and I got pretty lucky on Yuffie. So if we go to Yuffie right here, I got the Thunder Imperil weapon, right, OB1. I got the Fire Imperil weapon, OB1. And I got the Ice Imperil weapon, base 5-star, which all of them will go to high in 2 casts. So absolutely amazing. So for me, I will likely pull her costume just because I have all the versatility of the 3 Imperils right off the bat. I also got the Quagga AoE Earth one right here, which I think will have its uses somewhere. I got the Ice Ninjutsu Spiral Shuriken, which I think will also be useful, although I probably wouldn't wishlist this. I'm not sure if I would wishlist any of her weapons, to be honest. Depending on how you pulled, it's going to be tricky. I did get the Poison one, which is interesting. I will wait to do some testing on this, or wait to see if other content creators do some testing on this to see how it goes. And then I also got the Crystal Cross, which is kind of a magic version of her banner weapon, except not as good because it doesn't cast it on herself as well. So yeah, these are the weapons I got. So I think that if you get really good pulls with her free pulls, then pulling the banner to support these buff/debuff weapons could be pretty useful overall. However, if you're sitting at around 25k, 30k, I think that the best thing to do would be to hold off. If you have enough save to go for 2 different banners in a row, 50, 60k, etc., then maybe. But like I said, you just have to overview your own account and figure out where it lies and if this is going to help your team. For me, I like the idea of like a true buffer/debuffer, especially since her limit break, Clear Tranquil, gives her the capacity to potentially become like a pseudo healer. So I'm going to show you guys this limit break. It's down here. So it's right here. Physical attack up, magic attack up, mid to high. Also applies regen. Right now I've heard different things. Does her buff duration extend her regen? If it does, that's absolutely amazing. If it doesn't, a little bit bummed, but because that could really help her out. This is going to be a 9-second regen. If you had a 200% up on it, I mean, you're looking at like, what, 24-second regen, which would be pretty absolutely insane. Plus, it's going to be a 30% healing potency cast on all allies, and this is literally just the base limit break. So it's level 1. So hard to say what this is going to become at a higher level, but what I would like is that for me in my account, I feel like I'm constantly using Aerith as a buffer/debuffer/healer, and what this would do is allow me to run Aerith as something else. For example, I do have the Wind Arcanum costume for her, plus the Prism Rod. It's at OB3, and so if the content isn't too difficult, then I could run Yuffie as the buffer/debuffer/healer, especially if she comes out with a weapon that has the Cure All in the 3rd materia slot. So if Yuffie gets a Cure All in the materia slot weapon, which I'm guessing she will, hopefully on some type of buff/debuff weapon like a Mithril Rod or something like that, that would be absolutely insane. It's really going to take Yuffie to the next level, and then that costume is going to become very, very, very helpful, especially for those of you that do have the Mithril Rod. You know that it doesn't last very long, which can be very hard to find the timing for using it, but if it lasted, instead of 12 seconds, 24 seconds, or even 18 seconds, the versatility of that weapon overall becomes greatly enhanced. So Yuffie has a lot of different ways in which you can take her, which I really find that interesting overall. So let's go in here and look at her weapons right through here. So I'm just going to go through them one at a time. Here we have the Arctic Star. We already looked at this. At OB10, it's going to have high cast to physical attack to a single person, a magic heal on them of 13%, and a physical attack mid to high on self. With physical attack up 40 and buff debuff extension 36, the support materials are as seen here. Pretty damn solid weapon overall. Going into the next one, we have the 4-point Shuriken. For those of you that did not pull Kuja's Spirit Blade, this is a very good weapon if you're trying to reduce physical attack AoE. So I love the fact that this is AoE. I believe we got a free copy of this, or two, from the rewards. And the problem with this is that even at OB10, it doesn't go to high. So it's like OB6, the potency is mid to mid, OB10, mid to mid. So I feel like it could have bumped to high, at least to give people something there. But this is an overall decent weapon. I would give it like around a B grade. But HP and buff debuff extension, super, super, super good. The support material is also pretty decent, with 2 physical ability damages at 20%. Alright, so now we have our first Imperil weapon. So this one at OB6 is going to be high right off the bat. All of the Imperils are going to hit high on the first cast at OB6, and they're going to be mid to high base 5-star. So honestly, I would only wishlist this thing to OB6 and then take it off the wishlist. Goes for other things. I mean, obviously R abilities and stuff are important. This one has physical attack, so it's a little limiting on the R abilities. It won't work for every character later on, but I overall think it's really good. For the support materia, super good physical ability damage, 20% in each slot. However, I wish they would have put a fire ability damage up 30% in one of these for all 3 of the Imperil weapons to give her more capacity to do damage alongside of this. So I think that's kind of a bit of a drawback on these, that it doesn't have that. Like, for example, you know, Sephiroth's Radiant Edge. And so, like, let's recalibrate really quick. So these are Imperils that go to high, but they don't do anything else. For example, Black Whiskers, Zack's Water Imperil weapon, and Sephiroth's Radiant Edge, they go to high. It takes longer to get them to high, but they also debuff physical defense. So they are better overall. And they do have an elemental damage increaser of that element, both of them. Black Whiskers has water up, and Radiant Edge has fire up. So, you know, if you don't have any of the Imperil weapons, you're not a day 1 player, you didn't pull on these banners, she's amazing. Is she going to outdo some of the other Imperil weapons? No, I wouldn't say so. So she does have her drawbacks here and there, but overall pretty solid on the boomerang. After that, we have the pinwheel right here. And one thing I want to point out about this pinwheel is that, as far as I know, and I'm 99% certain, there are, for stacking ice potency on characters, none of the ice potency weapons boost HP. This is the very first one that boosts HP, which is why Sephiroth always has such low HP in his Ice God builds, because it's hard to stack it, right? But now, this is the very first one that does boost HP, so this is a fantastic weapon. Despite the fact it doesn't have a defense down or a magic defense down, overall super good. It does have the drawback of not having a ice up potency on one of the materia support abilities, but it is what it is. Going into this one right here, we have the Razor Ring. Quagga, 520% magic earth damage at OB6. Let's see, it'll be 440. So not very much. I think very, very niche. For example, like Sephiroth's AoE Fire Sword was really good in the Hell House fight, because when he spawned those ads and you killed them, it knocked down his frenzy bar, right? But extremely niche moment, right? So other than the R abilities, which are fantastic, I think this is one that most people will probably skip over unless you're like a super whale. Alright, so going into the next one, this is the Crystal Cross. Essentially the same as Barrett's new weapon. It has better R abilities, but it doesn't have the cure-all materia here. So it is what it is. I think it's pretty standard, I would say. Here we have the Thunder Imperil weapon. It does have the buff debuff extension up, which is different than the other Imperils. The physical attack R ability, which is great. This one, however, does have the attack boost lightning up. Okay, so I would say that this is her best imperiling weapon. So essentially, she can replace Red 13, and it's going to last longer, plus paired with the costume. So this is going to definitely be her best imperial weapon. I give this one an A+ grade. Yeah, overall, super solid. So glad that I actually pulled this, got the OB1 on the free pulls. After that, we have the poison weapon. Super kind of niche and interesting. I really like the R abilities, attack and limit break potential. The support abilities are also quite good. Not exactly sure why it's physical / magic here. I think that's a pretty big letdown, especially because this is physical attack 503, magic attack 385, right? Plus it's a physical weapon, so not really sure where you would use magic. Maybe for certain fights where like, for example, Rufus counters physical sigils, right? Something like that. So where you would want to bring like a magic support sigil spell, something like that. It might help to do a little extra damage, but overall, kind of strange. We have 2 left. This is going to be her ice ninjutsu weapon. It's basically the same as Tifa's gloves, except she doesn't have the Arcanum costume, although this will be a fantastic sub-weapon for Tifa, I would say. Also pretty good on the R abilities, or the support materia. And then last but not least, here we have the Magic Shuriken, which is the same as the AoE Earth weapon, except this one's physical. This will boost attack and wind potency, so it'll pair really well with Apocalypse. The support materials are as shown. So yeah, her weapon sets are pretty versatile. I will say though that, where is it, the Earth one? This one is going to be fantastic for anyone who pulled Lucia and her Arcanum Earth costume. One of the best R abilities or support weapons that she could equip, I think, in the game. But overall, those are my thoughts on Yuffie. I think it really just depends. If you have only enough crystals to pull 1 banner, I would say for sure wait. If you have enough crystals to pull 2, and you get pretty lucky like I did in your free tickets for her, I think the costume itself is the real prize here, other than the Arctic Star. I think the Arctic Star will definitely have its moments, for sure. But as of now, I'm still on the fence. I have a ton of crystals that I can collect from the gifts right here. So I do have enough for 2 banners, I believe. So, but I'm still waiting right now, so I'm not exactly sure. She's not exactly what I was expecting. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but either way, for those of you that are planning on pulling Yuffie, I wish you guys the best of luck. If you guys have any questions about anything, I'm always happy to answer in the comments below, and I'm happy to hear about your guys' pulls or what you guys think, etc. Yeah, so that being said, I hope this video was enjoyable to you guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. Hope you all have a wonderful night. Take care, and peace.